Hello, everybody, and welcome to my last COVID-19 Zoom cooking classes. We may start up again if the COVID breakout happens some more and people start socially distancing again and coming back indoors. But right now, I think so many people are outdoors, it's hard to get people to sign in. And so I am going to share with you some desserts because we did appetizers last week, and then all the other weeks we were doing main courses. And so I'm going to share with you 3 of my favorite desserts. First is a raw lemon raspberry cheesecake. And you should know with this recipe, I have modified it so many times. You can put a chocolate ganache layer on top if you'd like. You can drizzle it with a chocolate drizzle to make it look beautiful. There's so many different things that you can do with this recipe. You can also make it during Thanksgiving time. I do a pumpkin one. I add some raw pumpkin into it, or cooked pumpkin.
They said they can't hear you.
I can't hear me?
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. All right, great.
How are you?
We're going to start with the lemon raspberry cheesecake. I want to do that first because that has to get put into the freezer and settle a little before I add the top layer. And then we're going to do the torte because that has to cook for a longer amount of time, and then we'll do the cookies last. Okay, so the recipe for the raw lemon raspberry cheesecake, I hope all of you received the recipe, but you want a cup of macadamia nuts, a cup of almonds, and a cup of dates. And so I am going to put those right here into my food processor. I'm going to start first with just the nuts and pulse it. By pulsing it, it chops it. If you just put it on, it just will keep spinning and it doesn't really do a good job. So you want to pulse it. Welcome to whoever's joined. You can mute your speaker so that we don't have background noise. Although this thing makes so much noise. And once this starts getting chopped up, I'm going to add my ½ cup of coconut. And let me show you the coconut that I use. This is my favorite one. It's unsweetened shredded coconut. Whole Foods also carried bulk shredded coconut, which is also good. Trader Joe's does sell some organic unsweetened coconut, but they're not as finely grated. So if you get that one, you might want to pulse that a little bit first to blend it up. And I'm going to pulse this, and then I'm going to add the dates. And the dates is what brings it all together and makes it sticky. So this is a cup of dates, and I also, where's my bag of dates so I can show you what I've been using. I get this large bag of organic dates at Costco. So again, I like to share with you some of my resources because I realize buying organic is more expensive, but I think it's really important. So finding the places where you can get organic that's a little less expensive is really helpful. So again, I'm pulsing this. And this crust is so great for many other things. You can make lots of different kinds of pies and use this crust. I'm just going to do a pinch of salt into here. Just a little bit of salt. You don't have to do salt if you're on a low salt diet. You can certainly leave the salt down. But a little bit of salt, just a pinch, kind of brings out the flavor. And so this is what it's looking like. You can see this. I'm going to dump this whole thing into my torte pan. So you can see I have a big mound here of my crust. And so I'm going to press it down. and you're going to press it. First, you just try and just even it out so that you have crust all around the edges like this. And then starting from the center, you're going to press down really hard. You can use your whole heel of your hand. And then as you get to the edges, because you don't want anyone to bite into a whole big thick piece of the crust. You really want to get into the corner. So I am pressing in here in the corner so that it really thins out. And then I'm using my thumb on the top to create a nice smooth edge. And you can see I changed tables so I'd be a little lower so you can see. So I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing here. I'm using my thumb on the edge here, and I'm pressing against the side wall. And I'm being really mindful to press down into the corner so that the thickness of the crust is uniform all the way around. And you can move the crust around. So if you have too much in one area, you can move it around. And you can see how the evenness of the thickness of the crust is really key here. If you don't have enough, in some areas it feels thinner, you can borrow some from another area and just move it around. And I hope those of you that got the recipe ahead of time, I don't know how many of you are making this recipe with me right now, but I've been soaking my cashews, which will be the cream custard for the cheesecake. Those have been soaking for the past 3 hours, and I'll be draining those in just a little bit. So I'm just evening out the crust. There were a couple places on the bottom that were a little thin, but I'm really getting into that corner, like I said, so that I don't have any thick bites of the crust, because that is not what you're going for. Okay, so this is the crust. See that? So now we're going to make the filling. So I have my cashews right here. I'm going to just pour out the water. I should do this in the sink, but I wanted to do it in front of you. And then these can just go right into the Cuisinart. Get this out of the way. Okay, so in with the cashews, we're going to put in the lemon juice. I have a cup of lemon juice. Now, for time's sake, very often I'm buying organic lemon juice like this. You can squeeze your own lemons, and of course that's going to be better. Fresh lemons are better. But today, for the time's sake, I didn't want to take the time. So I use that lemon, which is certainly fine. And very often I am rushing, and that is what I choose to do. So I'm just going to pulse this first just to get it going. Close with 3/4 cup agave and 3/4 cup of coconut oil. And I already measured out the coconut oil. So I don't use agave that often. I usually prefer maple syrup or honey. Honey is not considered okay if you are a true vegan because it comes from the bees. So agave was the recipe that I first learned. So I'm sticking with that for now, but I have used maple syrup and that works wonderfully as well. Just has a little bit of stronger flavor. And again, we really want to get this smooth. So I'm going to pull out a spatula just to go around the edges to make sure that all the cashews that are up on the side get down in here. And then I'm going to add the coconut oil. Now this is how also from Costco, how I buy my coconut oil. It's a big size. And in the summer, it's so nice. I can just scoop out the coconut oil. In the winter, because it sits on my windowsill, it's hard. And so I use my little mini chopper to soften it before I measure it, because otherwise it's clumpy. So, but that's, again, the best, most economical way of buying the coconut oil. I'm just going to put this in here now. And we're going to pulse it. It calls for a tablespoon of vanilla. Quarter cup of water. So I'm going to actually taste this and see. You do not want to feel the, I don't even have to taste it. I can see the texture of the nuts. You really want this to be super smooth. So we're going to blend it a little bit more. I have my oven preheating at 350. Let's check this out now. Getting there. A few more minutes. It's so hot, I can create more cells. You can also do this in a Vitamix. There we go. Okay, now it looks smooth. Believe it or not, I could even do. Perfect. Okay, we're going for it. I'm going to hold the center. If that doesn't come down. I take the center blade out. A little spatula. I'm going to just wipe off the extra. get every last bit. There you go. So we're going to put this into the freezer. You want to try to find a really level spot. Whoops. Try to get it as level as you can, which I just didn't do. Okay, now it's level, but it went up on the side. But that's okay, because the raspberries will cover it. All right, give me a minute while I rinse this out. Okay. We're going to use this again. Like this. All right. So the next thing we're going to make is the Mixed Berry Torte. So the first thing I want to do is make my little vegan egg, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And one of the beauties of these recipes, and I said this with the entrees as well, a lot of the skills that I'm showing you can be adapted and used in many different recipes. So if you're making your favorite chocolate chip cookie recipe, but you want to make it vegan, so you don't want to put in the egg, this is what we're going to substitute with. You're going to use flaxseed, a tablespoon of flaxseed, and a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And equal an egg. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. And 2 tablespoons of water. We're going to give this just a little stir and then let it sit there, and it will become glutinous, kind of like an egg.
What does the apple cider vinegar do for it?
I don't really know, but it does do something. It makes it, you know, when you, I'm not really sure, but I just know that that's, you know, I learned it like I did, the same way I'm telling you to adapt it. I've taken it from recipes that I've seen over the years, and that's just, you know, what I've seen. I am not professionally trained, as I think I shared with you before, so I'm really self-taught. So just like one of the beauties of what I do is that I can tell you, you do not need to be professionally trained to do what I do. I am, you know, a mom, and I learned to do this because I was feeding my family, and it became my passion. It became my art. So I love what I do, but I was not professionally trained. So I'm not sure what the chemistry is behind that. Okay, so now I have 4 medium, actually these are 4 ripe bananas. I always, as my bananas start getting brown and I can't eat them fast enough, I just peel them and stick them right in the freezer. And then I have bananas in the freezer for any time I want to make a recipe. So this is 4 bananas that were frozen in my freezer. And I'm going to just pulse those to get those smooth. Basically, we're going to put all the wet ingredients into the food processor And then all the dry ingredients are going to go into the bowl. Oh, here's the bowl. Put it over here. Okay? So I have my bananas. Then half a cup of maple syrup. Again, this is organic maple syrup from Costco. Okay, I'm going to put in maple syrup. I'm going to put in oil. Actually, wait. No. Coconut oil. Okay, half a cup of organic coconut oil, which I measured out already. Pulse this. Add a tablespoon of maple syrup. I'm sorry, of vanilla. Okay, we're going to now put together the dry ingredients. Now, I've been using gluten-free flour a lot these days because I am not gluten-free, but I have so many friends that are, and I never know who's going to be here for dessert, and I can't really taste the difference. The problem is, most of the gluten-free flour is not organic, but I'm getting it from good sources. This is Bob's Red Mill. Another one that I like a lot is Pamela's, but it's been hard to find Pamela's. Here's another one that I have that's gluten-free, measure for measure. But basically all of them are interchangeable, I have found. So that's what we're going to use. We need 1.5 cups of the gluten-free flour. Cup. Here's my 1/2 cup measurer. And then we have 2 teaspoons of baking soda and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I get these from Trader Joe's. I just like the containers, because it has a flat edge here. Do you see that? And so you can just scoop in and just run your measuring spoon right across the top. It makes it really easy. So 2 baking soda. Baking powder. And I am much more of a cook or a chef than I am a baker. So baking is chemistry, just like you were asking me about the apple cider vinegar and what it does. And I don't understand all the chemistry, so I play around with it. But I'm much more creative when I'm cooking, because it's easier to be creative and not mess up. With baking, you notice I'm still looking at the recipe, because even though I've created the recipe, I want to make sure I'm doing it right, and it's not something that's just that I just have in my gut, that I know. Okay, so I'm just going to mix this up. I also put in ground oats and ground almonds, and I measured that out. It's 1/2 cup of ground oats and 1/2 cup of ground almonds. And I want to show you what I do actually. When I use my Cuisinart to grind the oats and the almonds. And you can see I then put it into plastic bags and I keep it in my freezer. Because when you're measuring, you're actually measuring already ground. So you can't take like a cup of walnuts grind it, and you're not going to still have a cup of walnuts. It will go down a little because it takes up all the space. So when I'm dirtying my food processor anyway, I'll put in extra, and I put it in plastic bags, and I keep it in my freezer. And that way, if I want to whip up, the cookies that I'm going to show you next, or this recipe, I don't have to first start grinding. I have it already ready. So, it's just one of those time savers that's really, really nice. So again, we're adding all the dry ingredients together. Now here I do use 1 fresh lemon and the lemon zest. And I'm going to do that into a little bowl. I'll reuse this little bowl right here for the lemon zest. I've already washed this. This is a great zester, and it works really easily. You just, but it does it very finely, so it's nice. So you're just going to go all around the peel with this zester. And if you don't have a zester, if you have a box grater, there's a very thin a zesting side to the box grater that you can use. I'm actually going to put this lemon zest right into here. And then I am going to cut my lemon in half. And I have my lemon juicer. I'm going to go right into the wet ingredients with that. Okay. I hear someone's background noise. If you could please mute your speaker. Okay. So I have the bananas, the maple syrup, coconut, the vanilla, baking soda, baking powder, juice from the lemon zest, a half a teaspoon salt. That's going to go right into the dry ingredients. I have the gluten-free flour, I have the oats, I have the almonds. Okay, so I'm going to add my egg right into the wet ingredients here. I don't know what happened to my spoon, so I'm mix it up, put it right in. And this is now going to go right into the dry ingredients here. Clear the way here. Again, when you're pouring it in, hold the center so that doesn't come crashing down on you. Get another spatula. And then just going to mix it up like so. And just mixing enough so that all of the wet and dry get combined. So there's no areas of just dryness. Okay. And I like to put this in a tart pan also, because it's just so pretty when you take this out, just like with the cheesecake, it has a removable bottom. So when you take it out, you see this fluted edge, and it's very pretty. So we're going to use this. I'm going to lightly spray it with some coconut oil spray. And then I'm going to put the batter in. Now you can mix the fruit in first if you'd like, but I have found that it's prettier if I add it directly on top. And you can even make a pattern if you'd like. You know, the blueberries on one side, the raspberries on the other, or you can mix it up. So I have all the berries right here. Around the edges with the raspberries first. Now we have the strawberries. And again, like I said, you can really spend time and decorate it if you'd like.
Have you ever used frozen and defrosted them, drained them?
You can use frozen, absolutely. And in the winter I do. Right now there's just so many berries around that it's great to use the fresh, but you can do that for sure. Okay, so now you can see how this looks right here. I'm going to just lightly press all the berries down. Like this. And we're going to stick this into the oven. All right. Now we're going to mix up our cookies. Just give me a minute to wash this out. Okay, get rid of all of this. All right, we're gonna need another sip of wine. Cheers. All right, so now we are going to do, these are the simplest and the most delicious, easy to make cookies. And that's why, like I said, if I keep the oats and the ground walnuts, you can also use ground almonds or any other nuts that you like. Pecans are great, and they taste like pecan sandies. Anyway, walnuts, ground oats, keep them in the freezer, and then you can just quickly measure out. I have a cup of oats here. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. A cup of, wait, is this just a cup? Hold on a second. Looks like more. No, okay, it's a cup. Cup of oats. A cup of walnuts, already ground. And you have half a cup of oil. You need half a cup of maple syrup. That together they add, you have a cup of liquid. But you also need the gluten-free flour. Okay, so we need a cup of this. So it's really easy. It's a cup of walnuts, a cup of oats, and a cup of flour. And if you use regular flour, I like to use whole wheat pastry flour. That's my first choice for these cookies. Okay, so a cup of gluten-free flour. I'm going to mix up all the dry ingredients first. Now this too, if you'd like, you can put just a slight pinch of salt in, but you don't have to. And then it also takes cinnamon. And the cinnamon is just a quarter teaspoon, not a lot. And this recipe I kind of know by heart. This one's just so easy, and in 15 minutes, I mean, they bake for 15 minutes, sometimes even less, depending on how hot your oven is. You have delicious cookies. So I can just, be in the mood and whip them up, or kids stop by and I want to have some cookies for them. I can just whip these up so fast. Okay, so that's the dry ingredients. I'm now going to add my wet ingredients. Mix it up.
Have you ever substituted applesauce for the oil?
I have in other recipes, but not in this recipe. If
Okay.
you try it, let me know. I have definitely in the cakes, I have substituted applesauce. Okay, so here's your batter, just like that. And I'm going to wet my hand slightly. I have, I put it over here, okay. I have a little scooper, like an ice cream scooper. I'm just gonna move this for a minute so I can get out a cookie sheet. So I have a cookie sheet with parchment paper. I'm going to spray it again. And I actually like to spray a little bit onto the cookie sheet as well to just hold the paper in place so it doesn't move around. Okay. So the nice thing with using a scoop is every cookie is about the same size. So I get a scoop, put it in my hand, round shape, and just flatten it a little bit. You can actually go right onto the cookie sheet, depending on how quick I want to do it. I can go right onto the cookie sheet. But I usually like to smooth the edges out with my hand first, as opposed to that one. But it's nice when all the cookies are about the same size. So I'm just making little flat discs, not too flat, because we're going to indent the center and fill the center with delicious jam. I have to look at the time for the torte. So I do 4 in one row, 3 in the other, allowing space for it to spread out, because they will spread out a bit.
Bhavani, I noticed you usually use the parchment paper. Have you ever tried the Silpat? Or you
I
don't
do
like
have that,
that?
but I don't have it in a big size, and I use these big cookie sheets. So I have it, the size for my small cookie sheet, but I rarely use my small cookie sheet. And I don't know, it seems funny to me to cook on that. I don't know, it feels like something must come off of it.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but I was just reading about it.
What did they say? Do people like it?
People love it.
Yeah. So I have it, but I don't use it. I buy the parchment paper in bulk because, professionally I can do that. And that way I always have it. It's just so easy. I just keep it in one side of my oven.
Yeah, I was thinking like you, I imagine something has to come off, but I really don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a plastic material. So, I don't know. I'm skeptical of all these innovations. So this makes like a perfect amount for one cookie sheet here. And then you're just going to go around and you're going to indent the center with your finger and make a nice pocket for your organic jam to go into. And so you can, do your jam of choice. You can do strawberry, raspberry, blueberry. And very often I'll do a variety. I also have fig jam that I've used, and that's delicious as well. You can also use a lemon curd in here. So this is Crofter's organic jam. It does have sugar in it, and the cookies don't. So you certainly can find a jam that doesn't have cookies in it. I'm sorry, that doesn't have sugar in it. But this jam is really delicious. And it's not overly sweet. A piece of fruit there. Okay. I'm going to pop these in the oven, and I'm going to set the timer for 7 minutes on one side. Let me move this to the bottom shelf in case it overflows. Just looking like it might. Show you what's going on over here. Just going to put this in the lower oven. Okay, set my timer. 7 minutes, then I'll pull them out, turn them around, and put them in for another 7 or so. Okay, so now, while those are cooking, I'm going to pull out the frozen raspberries for the top of the cheesecake. Okay, and you can see when I put it into the freezer, you can see how I tilted it. And so I got some of the cheesecake filling on the side. That's okay. And you can see it's fairly frozen already. So we are going to pull back out my Cuisinart. Where's my dry one? Here we go. Just dry the blade carefully. Make sure you don't get any fuzz from your kitchen towel on there. Okay. Got my lid. So now, for this, I actually really like the frozen berries because when you pulse them, they come out like little pellets, and that's what goes on top, and it has a really great texture. So I like that. I'm going to put the whole package. Now this package from Trader Joe's is 12 ounces. If you get one from Whole Foods, it's only, I think, 10 ounces. It's less. All right, so we are going to just put, this is a half a cup, quarter cup, so I'm going to fill it just halfway. Quarter cup of agave in here, just to give it a little sweetness. Also, okay, and I want to show you this, how pretty it looks. And so you can see the texture. You see the texture of the little pellets in there of the raspberries? And I love that. Okay, so now we're just going to pour this right on top like so. Get another spatula. Spread it around. And this is not fully frozen, so I want to spread it around pretty carefully so I don't indent the cheese filling. Bok cheese filling. Cashew filling. Now what I was saying before is with this recipe, I will also heat up some or melt some chocolate and just drizzle it on top in a pattern, and it's beautiful. So this is the cheesecake. It can go back in the freezer. And it can stay in the freezer and last for a long time and be your dessert. You know, you can just pull out a piece at a time. I also sometimes store it like this. I'm going to show you because you can actually eat it like this. I store them sometimes as little hors d'oeuvres, you know, if I want to put out like cookies and a little platter. And they're great frozen, or you can eat them, you know, take them out and let them soften a little bit and then eat it. So I'll let this sit here just a little bit and I'll eat that one right there. And I'll save that big pie for another time. But it's so delicious and it's so easy to make. And everyone oohs and ahs over it. It's really fantastic. Let's see how this torte is doing. Coming along. So we did them all. We're just waiting for them to come out of the oven. So maybe I will bite into this. Does anyone have any questions?
No, but I wish I had a taste app.
I know, I wish you did too. I wish you could actually help eat it all, because now, what am I going to do with all these desserts? Oh, It's so good. I mean, the combination of the textures from the crust, which has, you know, the crumbliness, to the smoothness of the cashew filling, to the tartness and the crunchiness of the raspberries. It's just delicious. Okay.
I've had that with Vonnie. I've had that at your house, and it's just wonderful. It's delicious.
Yeah. It's really great and so easy. The problem with a lot of the vegan desserts that I like, they do have nuts. So if you do have a nut allergy, you know, a lot of times I'm cooking in a nut-free environment. So I need to make a different dessert. And I do have different desserts that I can make. But just so happened that all of the ones I made tonight with you had nuts. I'm not going to be hungry for dinner. I'd love some feedback on the classes. Those of you that have been joining me every night, is there something that I could have done that would have been better for you? Is there something that you would like me to show you the next time I start these up again? I would love to hear from you. Anyone?
Vonnie?
Yeah.
Vonnie, it's Gloria. Unfortunately, I can only tune in at the last part because I was recording my own seminar. But can I go back and find out how you made that pie?
Yes, yeah. All of these classes have been recorded. So I'm pulling the cookies out. I'm going to just turn them around. My oven is much hotter in the back. And the tart is coming out great, but it still needs some more time. You can see.
Oh, beautiful.
So I'm going to set the timer for another 7 minutes. You guys are welcome to hang on, or if you want to sign out, you can just assume that they're going to be delicious, but I certainly invite you to stay on while they are baking. But I'd love to have a conversation. So,
are the recipes going to end up in our inbox?
Did you not get the recipes? I sent them out to everyone that had pre-registered.
I only registered this afternoon, so.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'll send it to you for sure.
Thank you.
Bhavani, what I loved the whole series. I'm so happy. Wednesday is Bhavani Day, so I'm going to really miss coming and visiting with you. But one of the things I really liked is you showing the techniques, because I really couldn't get a lot of the ingredients, especially at the beginning of this whole situation. But I've used some of those techniques with other things, some of the chopping, some of the sauteing, some of the, you know, the different techniques, the cuttings that you used. So I found that super helpful.
Great.
And I hope when I actually can get the ingredients, I'll be able to do more of the things. But it really has been great. Thank you so much.
Great. Well, please feel free to continue the relationship with me. Email me, ask me questions. I'm happy to share what I know.
Great. Thanks.
Oh, I really wish I could share. Give you where.
Is there a special wine that goes with that, Bhavani?
I doubt it's red wine, which is what I'm
Okay. I really have enjoyed the series. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the things that was nice when I was doing the entree classes, I would be finished and then I had dinner ready. Now I have dessert ready, but I still don't have dinner ready. So luckily, I usually have some leftovers, and I have leftover stir fry. I have so much growing in my garden now. It's really exciting. Last night, we had a stir fry. The Napa cabbage was from my garden. The broccoli was from my garden. Sugar snap peas and snow peas were from my garden. All the lettuce, the arugula, the Mizuna greens were from my garden. Just the tofu and the cashews weren't, and the rice, of course. But it was just, it's so nice. And yet, at the same time, I have such appreciation for those people that do grow food as a livelihood, because it takes so much time, not just to tend to the soil before you even plant, but then planting, then harvesting, washing it all, prepping it all, putting it in a storage situation so that it can store in the refrigerator until you're ready to use it, and trying to keep track of it all so that you're trying to use it before it goes bad. It's just overwhelming sometimes. So,
Yeah. Lavani, what is coming up now in your garden?
everything that I just mentioned: broccoli, kale, collard greens, sugar snap peas, snow peas. Tomatoes are just starting to come in. Beets, radishes. I have romaine lettuce growing. I have mixed field greens growing. I have spicy sprouts growing. I have, what else? I have eggplant and a variety of peppers growing. I have bok choy and napa cabbage, and what else? Cucumbers, of course, basil, and then I have all the herbs. Oregano,
It's a lot to keep track of.
cilantro. What's that?
A lot to keep track of.
Yep, a lot. And I grow enough that I share. I share a lot.
Yeah.
If anybody is local and wants to come and get their hands in the soil, you're welcome to come get your hands in the soil.
I'll be right over.
And then you go home with a bag of vegetables. Good deal. So
Yeah, I'll say.
let's see how these are. I think they're past. 2 more minutes. They're working. They're coming. Well, I thank you all for hanging in there, waiting for these to come out.
All right, I'm gonna go off and eat dinner, so thank you.
You're welcome. Robin, right? Yeah, Robin. Thank you.
No, it was me, Lorelei.
Hi, Lorelei. Who else is there? Gloria, Maya. Hi, everyone. Anyone else over here?
Hey, Bhavani, it's David and Scott. To say thank
Hi,
you.
Dave and Scott. Thank you. And Maria, thank you. Really enjoyed having you joining in. And, everyone stay safe. I mean, it's really a weird time we're living through. And, don't relax too much because, we see what's happening in the states where they're opening and people are, getting really lazy about being conscious of being safe, and we want to stay healthy. So also just keep your immune system strong. I want to share with you something that I take for my immune system that we swear by in this family. It's called Ensure Herbal by Zand, Z-A-N-D. They also make the elderberry and zinc lozenges that are really great if you have a sore throat. But anytime I don't take it all the time because then it wouldn't work. But anytime I feel like my immune system is getting slightly run down, I do 3 squirts right in my mouth. I'll do it every few hours. And I'm telling you, I can't remember the last time I had the flu or a temperature I might get a cold, but I can't even remember the last time I got a cold. So,
What is the name of that?
It's Zand, Z-A-N-D, and it's called Ensure Herbal. What is it? Ensure, I-N-S-U-R-E, Ensure Herbal. And basically it's echinacea and golden seal, some other things mixed in. So it's echinacea and golden seal, but it's much better than any of the tablets or the other tinctures can taste terrible. This doesn't taste bad. My kids were raised on it, so they just open their mouth and I squeeze it in, and they're fine with it. So it's really it's been a lifesaver in our family, literally. All right, come on, timer. Hey, pulling them out.
Oh, beautiful.
See how the tart is doing. Tart's looking pretty good too. There's the tart. We are ready. All good. So, I really wish you were here to help me eat this, everyone. What am I going to do with this now? I'm going to have a party this weekend. So, I think this...
Bonnie, what is the pie on the left there? What is that?
This is a fruit tort, mixed fruit tort.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
finished, see? Clean?
beautiful.
And the thing that's nice, you know, I let it cool, but like I was saying, when you lift the edges up, let me see if I can do that now. I think I have to wait, it's still too hot. But the edges are all fluted and it's really pretty. Let me see if I can get the cheesecake out of the flute.
Oh,
Yeah, so the cheesecake, you can see how nice it looks.
beautiful.
And I'm going to put it back in the freezer because it's not completely hardened yet. Oh, what to eat first? I think I'll start with cookie. Beautiful, not overcooked. But these are just, they get crispier and crispier as they cool down. So they're really best to, you know, just let sit for a few minutes before eating them. But they're so good, and they're so simple. So thank you, everyone. It's been a lovely couple of months with you, and I don't want to say I look forward to doing it again. Maybe I hope COVID doesn't come back, and I hope in the winter I'll start, or the fall I'll start up again when people are ready to come back indoors. But right now, enjoy the beautiful weather, enjoy the summer, stay safe. God bless you all, and thank you for joining.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Bonnie.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.